Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I want to share with you how we handle trick-or-treating in our house when we have food allergies and autoimmune conditions, and how that can be difficult during trick-or-treating. So we actually use the tradition of a switch witch, and I think this came out quite a few years back. We've been doing it since my oldest, who is 8, was about 2. So we've been doing it since then. And if you're new here, I have a 4-year-old daughter who has celiac disease, so we are a gluten-free family of 5. My 1.5-year-old and I also have a dairy sensitivity. My oldest had a dairy sensitivity, but she outgrew it. So we have multiple things going on in our family. And it can be difficult, like I said, during Halloween, because trick-or-treating, you don't always know what you're gonna get, and you wrestle with, okay, is my kid going trick-or-treating, and then they can't have the majority of the candy they get? How do you handle it? So this was our solution. Actually, we started Switch Witch before we even knew a lot about dairy, food allergies, celiac disease, and all that. So it's come in handy recently. We've only been gluten-free for about a year and a half, almost 2, coming up on now. But the idea of Switch Witch is kind of like Elf on the Shelf, but luckily Switch Witch doesn't get into crazy antics and do a bunch of different things. She kind of just sits on the shelf and moves around from place to place occasionally. But the idea is, and it comes with a book, that she's a witch, and it goes into the book and explains how witches need candy to run their world. Chocolate for their baths, electricity, different candies equal different things in the witch's world. And what's nice is, towards the end of October, you can write a letter to your Switch Witch, or not, we never have, about a toy that you would like to exchange for the candy. So how it works is, all the candy that my kids collect that they can't have, either because of dairy sensitivities or because there's gluten, because if you didn't know, there's a lot of candy that can have gluten in it, or candy that you're not exactly sure because it's off-brand. And I know we spent last year just sorting through, looking it up, seeing which was safe and which wasn't. So you're not always sure what you're gonna get or how much candy your kids will actually be able to eat. So what they do, your children decide how much candy they want to give to Switch Witch, or in our case, whatever candy we can't really eat. So things with a lot of milk in it, or gluten, anything with gluten instantly goes to Switch Witch. So it goes back into the bucket and we leave it out Halloween night. And what Switch Witch will do is she will take the candy and she'll use a magic spell and turn that candy that she will now use for her own needs in the witch world, like electricity or a chocolate bath, whatever she needs it for, she will exchange it for a toy using a magic spell. And it doesn't have to be a toy. You know, Switch Witch in the past has given books, she has given little Lego sets, she has given art supplies, some toothbrush. And one nice thing about Switch Witch is it doesn't only depend on the candy, but also behavior, much like Elf on the Shelf. So if you're having a really rough couple weeks and not listening, Switch Witch will take that into account. There is one year that my oldest was having a really hard time listening and following the rules, so Switch Witch left a note saying that, sorry, this year behavior wasn't that great, I can't use the magic spell. So it is based on behavior or just candy, however you want to do it. And the book does explain everything you need to do, and in the back there's a little certificate where, you know, you can welcome Switch Witch to your house and name her and all that. But it's worked very well for us in the past, especially since we've been gluten-free, that my kids really enjoy trick-or-treating. They like going houses to houses, but they're not disappointed when they bring home this bucket full of candy and they can't eat most of it, or we can't keep most of it in the house. So it's an alternative to that, and again, it doesn't have to be switched for toys, it can be educational things, and it doesn't have to be large. Sometimes my kids only have a small amount of candy to give Switch Witch, and that in turn is probably something smaller, but if they give the majority of their candy, they're gonna get most likely something larger, depending on what Switch Witch thinks. But I just wanted to put this out here for those of you who deal with food allergies, any type of autoimmune diseases related to food, that this is an option for children that still keeps the exciting, fun part of Halloween, but without the disappointment of not being able to do a lot of the candy eating that most people get to do. So I highly recommend that. And I'd love to know below what you do. If you have children with food allergies or autoimmune conditions like celiac disease, how you handle things like trick-or-treating or Halloween candy. I'd love to see people's ideas, so let me know down below. And again, if you have any questions, let me know.